Hi, welcome to Talk Tuesday, and today we have Kim Corley on from Cherished Sleep, and I've worked with Kim before and we've done joint webinars and stuff, and I love what she has to say, and because sleep is such a huge thing in so many of our lives, you know, it's great to have someone on who's going to talk about sleep and how to do it. So welcome, Kim.
Thanks, Judith. Nice to be on board. Yeah, sleep's such a huge topic and it's so important.
Yeah. Look, as a lifelong insomniac, I can put my hand up and say, when you don't sleep, it just changes your whole life. And it's really hard to explain to people who haven't suffered from lack of sleep just how soul crushing it really is.
That's so right. And if you get on social media, you will see those, but what's the big deal comments.
Right.
You should enjoy this time. If your child isn't sleeping, just sleep with them, spend time with them. But if a child in the family isn't sleeping well, it affects everyone because it means no one's getting the sleep they need.
Yeah, absolutely.
They need to function well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? And who wants to go through every day feeling like they're hungover because they're just so overtired? You know, that horrible gritty feeling where you feel like you're just dragging yourself through every day.
Yeah, hangover, jet lagged, everything is hard.
Yeah.
It can be soul destroying. It really can.
And I know, and reading your website, that you started your business because your son wasn't sleeping, and you say that on your webpage that it almost broke up your marriage. You know, wow. I mean, not that I find that hard to believe, but you know, that something like sleep can have such a huge effect is really quite amazing.
Yeah. So I like to start at the beginning there. When we went to our antenatal classes, prenatal classes, we were told that most families split up before the child is 5 years old. And I went, wow, that's significant. And I know from a lot of the parents we started with for the coffee groups, they did split.
Wow.
Now, from my experience, I would say that lack of sleep probably caused 99% of those problems. Okay, so I have no research to back that up apart from personal experience. My experience with my children, I'm a sleep consultant not because my children have slept well, but because they haven't.
Right.
And I suffered a little bit too long with that until it got really, really bad. And it didn't get really, really bad until my son was at school. And he started having anxiety about going to sleep and panic attacks. And we literally could not leave him in his bedroom alone. And yeah, someone had to stay with him. And if we left when he was asleep, when he woke up, he would seek us out and he still wouldn't go to sleep for hours, even with our support or help. And I mentioned soul destroying before. Yeah. It really is. It's exhausting. It's that hangover feeling, that jet lagged feeling forever.
Yeah, but 5 years, you went for 5 years. No wonder you felt like your marriage was going to fall apart. I mean, that 5 years of no sleep, and then your child goes to school and suddenly it actually blows up and it gets worse.
How can it get worse?
Yeah.
That feeling when they tag team you, when one's down, you've got two children, one's down, the other pops up awake. You think, you know, you spend that time staying awake a little bit longer, even though you're so shattered, because you need some personal space. As a mum, that's so important. Yet as soon as you close your eyes, someone wakes up. I don't think you can explain it, as you said, for someone who is sleeping well and think, well, what's the big deal? Once or twice, no problem. If this is an ongoing thing, it affects everything. Your relationships don't work. Everything's hard. It's hard to go to work. It's hard to put a smile on your face. It's hard to enjoy parenting.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, we had kids because we love our kids. And when it's hard to drum up that love all the time, because you're not feeling it anymore, something's got to change and something's got to give.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I was lucky because my boys, I mean, it was such a big thing for me because I didn't sleep well. Then I just understood. And so I was really conscious about sleep routines and making sure that my boys were able to sleep independently. But because I wasn't sleeping because I was up in the night, you know, feeding and everything else, then, you know, I got to the point where I couldn't even read books because if I sat down, I just want to go to sleep, you know, and it's, and that, you know, just made me feel like a terrible mother because I don't want to read with my child, not because I don't love reading and I don't love reading with my child, but because I thought, you know what, if I sit down, I'm just going to fall asleep.
I think you needed to sleep, didn't you?
Yeah, but this is during the day, you know.
I know.
You know, this is not sleeping when you're supposed to be sleeping. And I guess that's part of the problem too, that we have children who don't sleep at night, but then they're sleeping at all the wrong times, which is a huge problem as well.
Yes, it is. And it's about working with our children's bodies. And what I'm all about is healthy sleep habits. Okay. So when people hear sleep consultant, especially if you've got young children and babies, a lot of people relate that to cry it out. Oh, you're leaving your child alone in a room to cry. It's not about that at all. It is about making sure that everyone in the family, from little children, you know, little babies, to older children, to parents as well, get the sleep they need with, like you mentioned, the good routines and the healthy sleep habits. And we have a circadian rhythm. Sleep is natural. We should be sleeping at night and awake during the day. And our bodies are set up like that. And when you start messing with that natural rhythm, you're messing with hormones and all sorts of things.
Right.
And that's some of the reason when everything gets out of whack.
Right.
Okay, and that's for our children as well. There's a father of sleep, Dr. William Dement, who's started the Stanford University Sleep Research Center years ago now, but he's conducted research that says that sleep is the single most important factor on how long we live. That's over, sorry about this, diet and exercise and healthy eating and even genetics. So sleep is that important. And in society these days, parents still wear lack of sleep as a badge of honor. But really, we need to change that expectation. You know, I'll sleep when I'm dead, kind of thing.
Yeah.
We'll die a lot quicker without the sleep. So if we really want to enjoy life, you know, sleep is the thing that rejuvenates us, puts our immune system back on track, keeps everything working well. And yeah, that should be happening at night. 24/7 lifestyle, things have changed a little bit, but that makes it even more important to work with our bodies and that natural process. And that's exactly what it is. It's about reinforcing that natural process, not doing anything that's unnatural, but setting up those healthy sleep habits for families. That's what I do to get everything back on track, because you want to enjoy parenting. You want to enjoy life.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember when my kids were little, and you know, my idea of you know, the most exciting thing for me was a sleep-in. Like, you know, forget holidays and spa baths and all the rest of it. It's like, can I sleep? If I can sleep for longer, I'm excited, you know, because it just changes everything. So, you know, sleep is commonly an issue for us, and yet we, you know, if our children are not sleeping, we suffer through it for ages. And as you said, you went 5 years before you really hit the wall. But how do we know when we should be pushing alarm bells and we should be looking for help? You know, how do we go, okay, you know what, it's too much?
I think that word there is suffer. Right. Why do we suffer? Okay. You know, life's not perfect. Things are going to happen that disrupt sleep. But it still goes on for far too long. And I will be one of the first people to put my hand up and say, I suffered. I actually went through burnout at work. My children were, I was a mum for a long time, had gone back to work, a couple of children, and I just thought I was a busy mum. I didn't even consider lack of sleep, so I burnt out. And I still kept going, still kept working, And then my son crashed as well at school. And I couldn't work through that. There was no way I could even function as a normal human being through that, like when it got that bad. So what I want parents to realise that, yes, we will have some sleep deprivation, especially when your child's a newborn, because their sleep patterns are so different from our adult sleep patterns. There is a disruption and it feels horrible.
Yeah.
But our bodies get used to what we know. Now, an older baby should start consolidating their own sleep into larger periods of sleep, larger chunks. And somewhere between the 3 to 6 month mark, I do expect most children, depending on health and weight and where they're at developmentally, to start sleeping through the night for 10 to 12 hours consolidated chunks.
Wow.
Yeah, people go, oh my God, that's just crazy. But as long as they're a healthy weight and they are developmentally ready, now that's really important. A newborn cannot do that, okay? And I'm not talking 6 hours a night. I'm talking 10 to 12 hours a night. That is how much sleep children need up until their teens. No kidding. And broken sleep, especially after your child is 6 months old, you know, if you're a parent being woken up a few times at night, you know how horrible that makes you feel.
Yeah.
And you might be living on coffee, you might be living on adrenaline, you might be living on cortisol, all these things that will keep our bodies awake, not necessarily healthy, but doable. But do you realize that those constant wakes are actually affecting your child as well? Because if you're feeling it and your baby is over 6 months in particular, they start feeling it too. Now, a child who is overtired and sleep deprived does not look like an adult who's overtired and sleep deprived.
No.
And that's what really throws you as a parent, and what threw me. I thought my son was actually going to be either, ruler of the world, because apparently they say that presidents and prime ministers don't need much sleep.
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe some form of drug underlord or something. Because this kid would not sleep. He was never tired. And it took me a lot of time and a lot of research to realize that overtired looks like not tired. Overtired is wired, hyperactive, really, really busy, because children get their second wind and it doesn't look like they're tired at all. And that just means they're too tired.
Yeah.
So very, very different to a sluggish, tired adult. And it can be incredibly misleading. So that's what I work with families to make sure that they know the recommended amount of sleep. And often when I am working with families, it's because their children are so overtired and so sleep deprived, yet their bodies have just gone into hyperdrive.
Right.
And they're not looking tired. And when you don't know what you're looking for, it just seems all wrong. And it's like, well, my child obviously doesn't need to sleep, when really they need so much more sleep. If that makes sense.
No, that's really handy to know. That's great information, because I know that you often see these kids and and they are hyper and just dashing around and and I mean, even with my kids I see it, that late at night suddenly they go feral because Okay, so what would you say to a parent? I mean, I know, because as I said, I'm a long-term insomniac, so I read every article and went through all the things. And so what do you say to parents who've tried everything and they're still struggling? What can you do that's magical?
That's magical. Well, it can certainly seem magical, because they might have tried for months or years, and here I can get your child sleeping through in a matter of days.
Right.
Sometimes it takes weeks.
Yay, but still you can make it happen.
And 99% of the time it will happen, unless there's an underlying medical condition in the background. But we work with that, and still sleep can be an amazing, at least 90% better.
Right.
So what do? I think the heart of it is I help you see the wood for the trees, because when you're in the midst of it and you're that exhausted, you're not thinking straight. You might think you are, but you're really not. And studies have have shown that even though we think our performance is still on par, our judgment is so out of whack that our performance can be way, way, way lower than expected. and yet we think we're doing okay.
Right.
Okay, just because everything's out of whack. So what I will do is just work with families and individuals to find out the cause of the problem. It's like having a headache and going to the doctor. You can be thrown a whole lot of pills, or just try this, just try this, just try this, and you can go away trying all these random things. Some might work, some might not work, some might give you a little bit of relief for a little bit of time, but without going to the root of the problem, you're not solving anything.
Right, yeah.
So what I do is a sleep evaluation, and I start with these off with my free calls as well to do a little mini self-evaluation, because every child is different, every family is different, every situation is different. But if you know what the problem is, you can hone into it and target it without randomly trying all these other things. Okay, and often that's what's happening. It's like someone says this, so we'll try it, says this, the doctor says this, the midwife says this. Now, even doctors don't know a lot about sleep. In medical training, they might have a couple of hours on it over 7 years. You know, they're not experts on sleep either.
Same as eating.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it is about someone who knows about it, can do the evaluation, can say, hey, this is what the problem is, so this is what we're going to focus on.
Right.
And that's what it's all about, focusing on the right thing. Yeah, and those results can be magical. Yeah.
So so what ages do you work with? So sort of where do you start and where do you finish?
So I started off working with ages 0 to 10 years. And as far as I know, I'm the only sleep consultant in New Zealand that does work for over 5-year-olds. And that was really important to me because I needed the help when my son was over 5 years old.
Yeah.
And I went to the doctor and no one could give me any help or refer me anywhere specifically for sleep because there was no one. Okay. So that was really important to me. There are things you can do at a very young age, newborn age, to set up healthy sleep habits, but it's a transition time, that newborn time, so I do prefer to work with families and children and babies over the 3 to 4 month mark.
Right.
And from then on, simply because then we can see long-term lifestyle changes. So I can give you some hints and tips during that transition phase of what to work for, but you know, a newborn's not going to sleep through. Whereas a 3-month-old of a really good weight is, or at least will only wake for one feed per night.
That's pretty exciting to hear. I have to say, you know, if that's what we can be achieving, that's really exciting to know.
Why didn't I know that?
Yes.
Where was my manual? But that's the thing, we are all individuals, our children are individuals, we're individuals, and the dynamic between us and our children is so different as well.
Yeah.
There is no one size fits all.
Right.
It is about working together with that dynamic and with the family to make sure everyone's on the same page, everything's consistent, and you can see those amazing results. And I think that's what we should be expecting from our children.
Right.
And yeah, a lot of parents are going to go, no way, my child's, 18 months and they still need so many feeds at night. Yeah. It doesn't have to be like that.
Right. Right. No, that's what we need to know. Absolutely. Okay, so what's your best tip? And I know obviously that'd be different if you've got a baby or a toddler or an older child. So can you break it down and just give us some gold?
Yeah, I do have more tips on my website as a free download as well, mainly targeted at babies and toddlers. Right. Quite general tips still. But let's say you've got, you're a new mum. You're a new mum with a newborn. That's a big change in itself. What I would say there for a young child, young baby, is, if they're fussing at night, just wait a couple of minutes. Don't rush straight in. And as mums, we just want to be there all the time. Yeah. And if they're fussing a little bit, crying a little bit, grizzling, we're kind of straight in there. Now, if it's night time, just wait a few minutes. Now, I say that it's not the easiest thing to do, that waiting. Yeah. But if you can just wait even just a few minutes, often what your child is doing is just a little bit of fussing between sleep cycles. And if you leave them alone, they will go straight back into another sleep cycle and go back to sleep. Okay? You don't need to panic.
You make that sound so easy.
Oh, I know. It's not that easy to wait while your child is grizzling, because it's like they need me, but often they don't need you. And remembering we're talking about healthy sleep habits and natural sleep. And if your child can figure this out at an early age, because you just leave them to it, and we're only talking a few minutes, we're not talking half an hour, anything dramatic, just a few minutes. Sometimes, it's not going to be all the time, but sometimes they'll just drift off into another sleep cycle and you've had to do nothing. Now, that is the first stage of self-soothing and healthy sleep.
Right.
Because they're just transitioning from one sleep cycle to another, they're figuring out how to do it themselves, and eventually that fussing stops. And you don't have to panic, because if they're healthy and they are truly hungry or truly need you, they won't go back to sleep. They will continue calling for you, okay? So you don't panic. And then you can attend to them. No big deal. For an older child, I guess what I'd really like to see, and a really good tip, is a really good bedtime routine. So that's not just, and that's at any age actually, even adults.
Yes.
So it's not just prepping for bed, it's about cueing the body and the brain that the long sleep is coming. And that's working at all sorts of subconscious levels as well. And there are tricks to doing it right. So before the teenage years, say, and after the 3-month mark, you are looking at a bedtime routine of only about 30 minutes. So it doesn't often start at dinner, like a lot of people think. It's just the 30 minutes before you pop them into bed.
Right.
And it is about structured routine, the same steps in the same order every night. And if you're doing that, no free play, no differences, but very structured, very routine, and that might be something like a bath, a massage, a bottle, a book, and bed, something as simple as that for a baby, then the brain will start winding down and anticipate what's coming next. And every time the brain anticipates what's coming next, it relaxes, and it relaxes the body. And we all need to be at least semi-relaxed to fall into sleep. Okay,
right.
So good sleep. Good sleep, healthy sleep is very, very different to exhaustion, body shutting you down. Because that will happen as well. When you say, oh, my child just crashes at 10 o'clock at night, that's their body going, okay, no more for survival, we're shutting you down. And when people, adults or children, fall asleep within a matter of minutes, that's not good sleep skills, that's just body shutting you down.
Right,
okay?
right.
So a good thing to know as well, that for a child or an adult, 10 to 15 minutes to fall asleep is the norm. Anything under 5 minutes, often you can be sleep deprived and it's shut down.
Right.
Anything longer than say 20, 30 minutes, there's a sort of struggle there. Either your child doesn't know how to do it, or they're upset or anxious, or something's getting in the way of sleep there as well. And so that bedtime routine just really helps wind that body down, prepare it, and if it knows what's happening, it relaxes. Oh, and this is happening and it happens, and relax. This is happening, it happens, relax. And if things change during that, instead of relaxing, or go, oh, that's different, oh, I better stay awake, oh, what's happening now? And it does the opposite of the wind down.
Now, you know what? I've got my bedtime time routine, and it takes me probably about 20 minutes, and I do the same thing every night. And I've done that, and it works for me. But actually, this is the first time with you explaining it that I truly understand why it works. Because I know if I don't do it, I find it very difficult to sleep. But now you've explained it, now it makes perfect sense, because you are, I mean, I knew I was cueing my body, but I didn't sort of really, no. I'm so excited. I've learned something new.
It's really powerful. And a lot of adults, we have these bedtime routines, especially prior to children, that we don't even think of. It's not like most of us, especially if we're sleeping well, we don't go, I'm off to do my adult routine now. You might, if you're really working on sleep, yes. But it's so ingrained, and we know that if we miss that step, like if we don't brush our teeth one night, it's like you're lying in bed going, something's wrong, I can't sleep. And I've done that myself and had to get up, brush my teeth, and then go back to bed. Because with missing that step, it doesn't work.
No.
So sleep is one of the most habit-forming behaviours we have. as well. So it is about, structuring it so it is very healthy.
Right.
And
Fabulous.
for older children and adults as well, another sleep tip would be aware of blue light. And that's light from screens, that's natural sunlight, because those things stimulate our bodies to wake up. And so dark means sleep. Our sleepy hormone, melatonin, is released in the dark or dim light. And with a lot of light pollution these days, and screen and natural light and daylight saving, when we have that blue frequency of light, it is actually telling our bodies to wake up.
Right.
So if we have too much of that, especially prior to bed, it makes it harder to sleep because we haven't got that natural sleepy hormone inducing us to sleep as well. And that can actually mean more wakes during the night as well, and harder to get to sleep when we wake up at night. And in today's modern lifestyle, busy lifestyle, and lots of children have phones and devices, especially the older ones, teens, my best tip there is get them out of the bedroom and no screen time an hour before bed. And even that can throw up a lot of, oh, what do you mean? But I watch Netflix and that's how I fall asleep in front of the TV.
Yeah.
That's exhaustion. And it's not doing you any favors. So.
Right. Ooh. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So one thing I want to know, this is for me, this is nothing to do with anyone else, is my mum said that I was a terrible sleeper, right from the word go, and they used to sort of drive me around the block in the, in the pushchair and then bring me back home, and then of course I was wide awake. And even during the day, I'd have a 30-second nap and then be, hyper and go. Now, if I'd have slept better as a child, would I be a better sleeper as an adult?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's why I do work with children from a very young age. It is a skill. Sleeping well is a skill, very different to exhaustion and crashing, and just because your body makes you sleep, which is those 30 minutes naps, and that's enough to have you back up again. Yes, and it's like any other skill. Maybe you want to consider riding a bike, okay? That once you know how to do it, even if it's been years or you get off track, and there are plenty of things in life these days that throw us off track, if you have those basic skills, it's so much easier to get back on track.
Right. So this is a huge gift that we're giving to our children. And you see, this is one thing that I've always thought, that if I was, if my parents had focused on that when I was a kid, and, you don't know what you don't know, but, that it would have so changed my life, having those skills early on. And so, I guess if I had a child that wasn't sleeping, that would be so heartbreaking for me, because I know the future that they're looking at, and that's not a nice thing.
Yeah, and the studies prove it. A baby that doesn't sleep well turns into a toddler that doesn't sleep well, turns into a child, a school-age child that doesn't sleep well, turns into an adult that doesn't sleep well, because they've never learned those skills. And some children are natural born sleepers. Some children do find it easy. Some children do learn the skills, and a lot of them are by accident, and that can often happen around the 3 to 4 year mark, that all of a sudden your child will naturally sleep well or start sleeping through. That is kind of by accident, but as parents we can do a lot to give them that gift of sleeping well, and it is all about setting up the right environment and letting them learn easily. Now again, sleep consultants cry it out, don't do that to your child. I don't do any cried out methods.
Right.
Graduated extinction, whatever you want to call it. I am working with natural methods, working with your child's body.
Fantastic.
And making it easy.
That sounds amazing. So just to clarify, if you have a 3-month-old that's not sleeping, we can fix it. If you have a 3-year-old that's not sleeping, you can fix it. If you've got a 13-year-old that's not sleeping, we can fix it. If you've got a 50-plus-year-old that's not sleeping, you can still fix it.
Yeah. So the younger the child, the quicker it is.
Yes.
Okay. Not including newborns. Okay. They have to be past the newborn stage. You can start setting up healthy sleep habits, but they can't sleep through at that age. They're not developmentally ready, and they have to be a good weight to be able to go through the night without feeding. Okay. So I'm not pulling feeds. I'm not doing anything unnatural. I'm looking for a child to drop their own feeds naturally when they can sleep well. Okay, and a lot of children aren't needing the feeds for sustenance. They're needing a lot of the feeds because they associate it with sleep, and it's a sleep association. And that can actually get in the way. Any associations, negative associations, or sleep props, sleep aids, can get in the way of healthy sleep. So it is about, finding out what the problem is and removing the barriers. So it's easy.
Sounds so exciting. So, and I'm sure there's parents who are sitting and watching this. So if we need to contact you, you offer a little free consult so that parents can have a chat to you and just find out what you're doing and how you're doing it. Is that right?
Yes, and I think that's really important because I want to work with families that we have a good rapport with. I don't work with everybody, and I will only work with you if I think, yes, I can help you. Okay. Which is most people. But if you're set in your ways and you don't want an independent sleeper and you want a co-sleeper and you want to get up 10 times a night to feed them, I'm probably not going to work with you, but you probably wouldn't call me anyway.
Yes.
If there's any issues or you're a bit concerned, it doesn't have to get to the suffering point. It's about healthy sleep habits. So it's about getting there early. And even if you're a little bit concerned that your child isn't quite getting the sleep you think they need, the recommended sleep. I offer a free 15-20 minute initial call, and it's a mini sleep evaluation. So we talk about your family and what's going on for you, and then what the problem is, and then the best way I can maybe work with you to fix that. And you've got the opportunity to ask questions as well, because it's really important. I'm very big on the why and giving you the tools going forward. And once you have the skills and the tools, even if you get off track, you kind of know how to get back on track. Right. And that's really important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because life happens. Yeah. But you can book one of those free calls either through my website, cherishedSleep.co.nz, or even through my Facebook page, Cherished Sleep. Okay. I think it's Cherished Sleep Baby and Child Sleep Consulting at the moment. Although I do work with adults now too, as of last year, tweens, teens and adults. I just haven't updated everything website yet, but I am taking on adult clients as well. So we'll check.
Yeah.
Okay.
So exciting. All right, Kim.
So through any Facebook, blogs, website. Yeah.
Sounds fantastic. All right. Well, I will. I'll put links up anyway, so that people can check out where to find you, and it'll go on the YouTube channel, so so everyone can sort of watch that and take their time and watch it when they've got a little bit more energy. But thanks so much for having you on, Kim. For coming on today, Kim. It's been really interesting, and it's a topic that's very close to my heart for obvious reasons, but I know that so many parents are sleep deprived, and so nice to know that they don't have to be.
No, don't take it as a given,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's so much better for you, for your child, for your parenting.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thanks so much, Kim. That was great to have you on.
Thanks so much, Judith. Thanks for giving sleep priority.
Okay, thanks.
Bye.
Bye.